What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Connor Speed 6. As you can see, Forza Motorsport, Suzuka, touring cars. Now this is the full Suzuka circuit, and I'm running the Audi RS3 LMS. Now, this car has an AMS Gemini tune on it, which is a spectacular tune for this car in the touring car division. Now this was a couple weeks ago, I think maybe about a week ago actually, before the events flipped and turned to the short layouts. We are running Suzuka full, and as you can see, I qualified P1 ahead of a decently competitive field. You see somebody go off back behind us getting pit maneuvered, so me and Counter Reeves, who we will be seeing a lot of in this video, are in P1 and P2. Now I started on the hard tire compound, as you can see down in the bottom right. Counter Reeves started on the medium compound, so what I did is I let him go here because I knew he was going to have a little bit of pace on me, especially at the start of the event, with me running hard compound, him running medium compound. So we're going to see a lot, unfortunately, of his back bumper the entire first half of this race, but let me tell you, this is one of the most fun and enjoyable races I've had to date in Forza Motorsport. And Counter Reeves and I have actually had a couple conversations since then, just out of the sheer respect for each other after this race that was gained during this event. Is pretty awesome. So as you can see here, he's put about almost a full second gap on me. Goes a little bit deep into the curve at Spoon, so I'm going to close that gap just a little bit more. But again, remember, I do have hard tires on the car, so I'm not going to be uber competitive, especially with the grip and the top speed that Civic has in comparison to the Audi RS3. The RS3, very, very good car for these lobbies. One of the more competitive cars, honestly. But do not be fooled by the PI level of that Civic. It is an amazing car as well, especially when tuned right. I actually have all of my cars tuned by AMS Gemini just because I know how much time and effort he puts into these things. He's a great tuner, and he's extremely fast, of course. So if you'd like to download any tunes for your TC or Forza touring car vehicles, be sure to search him, AMS Gemini. So here I come back on Counter Reeves, lap number 2, starting that. Got right up to the bumper. Thought better, of course, of doing a dive into turn 1. And didn't want to go too wide through there, of course, because it's never going to end well. Someone's always going to get bumped off inevitably, unfortunately. Now, just a reminder, I am using my Logitech G920 during this race. No assists on other than braking line, of course. No traction control, manual, of course. All that, you know, no stability control, etc. So the Logitech G920 has been really good to me in this game. I think I'm pretty quick with the wheel itself. As you'll see at the end of this race, the fast lap time in race mode is pretty decent here. But yeah, I started the race. It's 7 laps long, so I always start my race with about a lap extra of fuel. Probably unnecessary, but it's just me being fearful of the unknown. You never know what could happen, so I'd always want to have an extra lap of fuel in there. Closing the gap again on him here, dropping it down under a second this time. I assumed by this point of the race that he would have a little bit of a bigger gap on me, but about here on out is when he starts pulling just a little bit on me and opening that gap a little bit more once his tires, of course, got up to temperature. My hard tires are still, unfortunately, a little bit more slick than his. He likes to take that corner a bit wide and Spoon there on the entry. So I think that's going to come and bite him, unfortunately, here in a little bit. So we'll see how the rest of the race goes. But yeah, we are coming to the end of lap 2 here in a moment. And he's still only about a half second in front of me. Big speed corner here. With the hard tires, you can typically take it in 5th gear with just a lift and coast. But during the race, I always want to be a little bit more careful, of course, than normal. But yeah, here we are, about a 1 second gap, and we're going to be going on to lap number 3 again. Me on hard tires, Counter Reeves on medium tires, and we've got a pretty big gap to P3 at 7 seconds, P4 at 7.2. They're having a nice little battle themselves. Let's jump forward here to lap number 4. Now, he's got a 2 second gap on me at this point. Now, his tires, because he started on medium, should definitely be pretty much giving out at this point. As you can see there, I just jumped 7/10 of a second and caught back up to him right there. So his medium tires are probably holding on for dear life, and my hard tires are still in their prime. But unfortunately, they have typically only about 5 full laps of life in them, when the mediums have about 4.5 laps. So right here, his medium tires start to die on him, misses his braking point, misses his turn in because his medium tires are gone. Counter Reeves is going to dive into the pits, so now it's hammer time. It's time for me to speed it up, put in a good lap. I drop him the good race, not because I think I'm going to beat him or anything, but just to let him know I appreciate the good racing, of course, that we've had through 4 laps. So yeah, I know it's imperative for me here to go ahead and put together a decent lap time on my hard tires, knowing good and well that these tires are pretty much going to be dead by the end of this lap. So I have to put in a good lap while not overusing the tires and absolutely destroying my chance at picking him up and catching back up to him in the last couple laps, because I'm assuming he's going to come out ahead of me whenever I come out of the pits, because my hard tires will likely give out at the end of lap 5. But yeah, still running pretty much comparable lap times to my best lap so far. At times a little bit faster, at times a little bit slower. Unfortunately, we'll see here in just a second when we get a little bit further around the lap that my lap time does start to diminish, unfortunately, due to these tires giving out. They're starting to turn yellowish here, and that's never a good sign. Whenever it gets to that point, you maybe have another maybe minute worth of racing left on the tires. Typically, once it hits 60% tire wear is when they're going to completely just fall off a cliff. There you go. We see I'm 2.75 tenths slower at this point than my fastest lap. So I lost a lot of time, nearly probably about 0.3 of a second in those last 3 or 4 corners, just because my tire is giving out. So it's rough. I know we're going to struggle a little bit. We're going to have to limp around to the pits where I'm going to dive in at the end of this lap. As you can see there, tire wear was about 55-56% on the fronts. So I still had some life left, but they don't have much at all, unfortunately. Luckily, though, we're at the end of the lap where I'll be able to dive in, reset a little bit, and take some soft tires for the last 2 laps. I chose to go hard and soft because I knew that the hard tires lasted a full 5, and I knew that the soft tires lasted about 2.5 or maybe slightly more than 2.5 around here based on my practice runs. And I knew that the Counter Reeves was starting on mediums, which meant that he would likely switch from mediums to hards or mediums to mediums. Sorry, mediums to softs or mediums to mediums. Either way, I would have a leg up on him. There he goes right there, Counter Reeves, going up into P1 after my pit stop. So we've got some ground to make up. Hopefully we'll be able to catch up to him. I don't know, we've got, what, 2 laps to do, so I'm on soft tires, not sure what he's on. Let's bounce forward just a little bit here. So there you can see the gap got up to about 2.7 seconds in the top left, of course, going a little fast forward action here. Apologize, but nothing to see there except for me really just trying to chase him down. And we're going to start gaining a little bit of ground here and bounce pretty much forward to the last lap. So here we go into the chicane. Connor Speed 6 with a 1.5 second differential to P1 Counter Reeves. This is going to have to be a lap of a lifetime right here from me. The soft tires are warm. I'm assuming that, again, he's on either the medium tires or the soft tires. Remember, if he's on the soft tires, they will be giving out at the end of this lap because he pitted at the end of lap 4, which means he would have had to go lap 5, lap 6, and lap 7 on softs. And again, I knew that soft tires only lasted about 2.5 laps around Suzuka full based on my practice runs. And medium tires, if he was running medium tires, I would still have a leg up as long as I put in clean laps, because running soft tires, of course, has a little bit more speed or a little bit more pace on those tires, of course, with more wear. But we've already dropped the gap down to 1 second. Counter Reeves driving, of course, with everything he's got. Me having a little bit more grip in these tires, and they're fresher tires at that. Keep gaining and gaining and gaining. A little bit here and there. Coming into the back hairpin. I absolutely love this track, by the way. One of my favorite tracks to drive on. After VIR Grand, I think Suzuka Full is probably my favorite track to race. There we go. We're under a half second going into Spoon here. Just a second. Down to 3/10. Down to 2/10, and we're catching up. Let's hope we put the pressure on. Yep, put the pressure on him. He dives a little bit deep into Spoon like I was talking about earlier. I go on the inside of him, hoping he didn't close me off. He didn't. Respectful racing from both of us. And there I go into P1 with a half-second lead really quickly. I would assume that his tires just completely fell off, unfortunately enough for him. But like I said, whether he's on medium tires or the softs, I was going to have the leg up because the softs weren't going to go 3 full laps for him. And the mediums, unfortunately, just weren't there pace-wise in comparison. So me driving a little bit gingerly here at the end. I was afraid he was going to miss a braking point and smash me. But again, good driver with good driver. Nothing happened. All respect to Counter Reeves. And a big shout out to him again for being a great racer and having a great event with me. It's much appreciated. I love these types of lobbies whenever everyone races well. It's a lot of fun. But there you have it. I put in a fast lap of the race as well, 2 minutes 14.011. Again, this is using my Logitech G920. Pretty proud of this event. Again, it's one of the more exciting and more fun events I've had online. But I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please be sure to leave a like, a positive comment down below, and if you're new to my channel, be sure to subscribe for more weekly content like this. That's going to do it for me. As always, I have been Connor Speed 6. Until next time, much love everyone. See you soon.